Good evening. It's not Friday.
No,
It's really not.
it's not.
Not not even a little bit.
Not
It's
even a little.
Monday. It's Monday. But we are live, as promised, as committed to, because no matter what, the train rolls on. There will be a live on this channel every week since October 2020. The train doesn't stop. That's consistency, Brandon. It's consistency. Telling
Even
you.
if the train it
Are
smashes
you doing
through
it to
things,
stay
it catches on
consistent?
fire, and you know,
Listen, Eric, I'm willing to light you on fire as many times as it takes. Go ahead, Brandon. Your question.
I was just going to say, are you doing it to stay consistent, or is the consistency torturing Eric?
Yes.
how about to say both?
The answer is yes. Very yes. Very yes, as a matter of fact. In fact, yes to the nth power. Indeed. First comment here. Josh says it's Monday night. You know what that means? It must be Expo week because Carlos is live. Truth. You speak truth. Indigenous rookie cards. Expo week. Let's go. Exactly.
He's gonna have so much fun.
Yep. What happened to the We Are Live guy on Instagram? He's hiding underneath Eric's sub basement right now. Hiding.
I haven't seen anything or heard anything about Eddie in a while.
Well, InvestiCard did get into that whole loan
thing,
payday
yep.
loans with cards. It's like, every time somebody does one of those things, they all kind of disappear.
Yeah.
Sometimes scandalously.
Mm-hmm. Like what kind of train? The Quad City DJs? Maybe. Monday stream? Yes, David. Yes. Because it is Expo week, like Shark Week, but lamer.
Much.
You think, Brandon, you think I could get them to do, I think I could get Steve Menzie to do that as a tagline? Like Shark Week, but lamer.
I don't think so.
He's just he lacks the vision. I have the vision. I've been trying to say this all along. It's amazing.
Where is the watchful eyes at?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. We're getting there.
Okay.
I could have clicked on it before we went live, but we needed a moment. Right now, Brett Favre cannot be party to this.
I'm just making sure that we're in good hands.
We're all right. We'll be all right. Consistency is key, but we got to make sure we read all the things. So Dennis, good evening. Good evening to you. Dan, good evening. Name is here already. Meeting starting early tonight. That's right. What's an expo? Listen. Normally an expo is what happens when Eric has to ask the cops to let him off. Exposing yourself is the kind of expo that Eric is used to. However, twice a year, they have a card show they call the expo. That's different. Not quite the same thing.
The event center is not called the Expo Center, just so y'all are aware.
Oh, it's really not. No, it's not. That people have been confused on this before.
That they definitely have been, yes.
Mike, yep. What's up to you? Yep. Exactly. Yep. All right. So let's put the little overlay here. It is technically a BIC podcast episode. However, it is a live BIC podcast episode. And that is because we don't have necessarily a set topic, although I do have an article related to the vintage. So Eric will appreciate that. So I do have that under the watchful eyes of Brett Favre. Will I edit this episode to accommodate the audio version of it? No, I won't.
No.
But the good news is, by the time we get to Sunday, we'll actually be caught up on our audio, Eric, because it had been weeks and weeks and I completely forgot. So every 2 days, if for some reason, bless your heart, if you are on the audio feed, you're going to notice, oh my God, I'm getting an episode. Oh my God, I'm getting another episode. Oh my God, I'm getting another episode. Yep, you're getting all caught up. I'm getting you all caught up by next week. One way or the other, whether you want it or not, Eric.
Whether you want it or not. Yep.
Especially if you don't want it. So on that terrifying note, that and more on this episode of the BIC podcast. Indeed. Paul C says, is the article. So we got to start off the episode apparently threatening people. So that's important. Is the article that Eric is vintage? Listen, Eric has always been vintage. It's important. Actually, I got a quick story about that. I'll touch on it. Not Eric being vintage, but just the concept of the vintage in general in terms of people.
Oh, okay.
So I'll come back to that. Dan here says the only Canadian expos I recognize are Jerry Park and featured Le Grand Orange. That's great, Dan, except that's not real. You know why? Because it's Quebec. Quebec is not Canada. It is Quebec. So it doesn't count. So I'm afraid you know nothing of Canadian Expos. Nothing. Moving on. Name says, what about we start calling the Sports Card Expo Expos, like those so-called Nationals? Maybe. Well, we do technically have 2 of them, so we have more legitimate claim to claiming
That is true.
Expos.
Yes,
We
you
do have
can-
plural.
Plural. Yes.
We do have plural, so there are 2. And if we count, Eric, they do have the West Coast one, and then we do have the Montreal again, not the same country, different country.
Different country.
But technically, that's an expo as well. So that's at least 3, 4,
Yeah.
5. We got multiple expos. This is
Many of the pluralsnesses.
So that's at least true. That portion of it I agree with. So I agree with that. So what I was going to say was, so in relation to the vintage, as related to people. So my younger brother's birthday was actually Saturday. And yesterday was the day. So my parents, my mom is like, "Oh, you're gonna come over for you?" It's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come by." It's dinner and cake. I'm like, "Sure, yeah." I live down the street. Like, it's not like it's a big burden for me to come by. The only thing I said is like, "You let me know." Obviously we got the long weekend. I'm technically off today, and then I'll be back online to working tomorrow, and I'll work a couple of days this week, and then Thursday and Friday I'm taking off so that I can go over to the expo. But so I'm working just a couple of days this week. So I said, yeah, if you want me to do it on Monday, we can do it on Monday. You want to do it Sunday, Saturday, I don't care. Pick one. I'm good, whatever. So she says, okay, let's have dinner on Sunday. Fine, no problem. I go over, I have dinner. We have cake. The cake was good. So good job. Good choices by the family in selecting the cake. But then I said, this is my brother's 40th birthday. So I said, oh, I'm afraid you're old now. It's over. It's done for you. And he was trying to defend himself. The problem, he goes, I try to slap you, but I hurt my shoulder. It's like, you see, it's already started. It's already the end is nigh, Eric. And then but the best part about it is I often like to point out to my dad. My dad is 70 years old, but he's got a full head of hair. Like he's Bob Barker. Like it's all completely white and gray, but it's a full head of white and gray hair. And I literally got a haircut to be a little more aerodynamic, but all here. My younger brother though has quite the receding hairline, and so I like to point out, it's like, you look a hell of a lot older than I do. I'm sorry. And he goes, and that's when he said, "Is like, I'd fight you on this, but I got the bad show." I was like, man, and you're aging faster. The bones, the osteoporosis, the disintegrate. It's Brandon. It's bad. It's bad. He outraged me years ago.
Yeah.
He just passed right past me.
Yeah, it's bad. You have to understand that statistically, us in North America and first world countries are the average age is 80, right? So you're on this planet for 80 years. 40 is the middle. You have now reached your peak. It is all downhill from here. You go up.
In fairness, Eric, my point of contention is that the decline started years ago. My point is that he actually aged past me. So, Brandon, the secret is not just to age a different. The secret is just to find somebody that will technically be younger than you, but then just ages faster than you, just blows past you. At this point, he might be older than my dad.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm not convinced he's not.
I think most all of us can agree. Our mind tells us that we're a lot younger than we are. But then our body laughs at us and reminds us that it's a cruel game.
I like to think of it less as laughter, Brandon, and I like to think of it more as
yeah, probably like 4 rounds of.
I'm envisioning that. So Eric, I rather enjoyed that my brother who still works in retail, and I told him years ago, I was like, oh, this is gonna age well. This is gonna age so well. Like when you go in and you have to use, and they've got the forklifts and stuff back, but they also have to carry heavy shit. It's like, oh, this is gonna be good for those joints. This is gonna be real. I hope you keep drinking your milk, young man. Well, he's not a young man anymore. It's like the youngest of the family is 40. He's an old bastard and disintegrating as we speak.
Well, at 50, you start getting hurt while you're sleeping. You go to bed feeling fine and you wake up hurt.
Well, Eric, that's because you have these reoccurring nightmares of a gigantic mayo jar chasing you. It's like Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th movies. It's just a big Hellman's bottle.
It's scary.
Yeah, you're just like, no.
That's
scary.
a
different issue entirely. That's a problem. Good evening, Lonely Basement Baseball Cards, and good evening, Orlando. So yeah, it's just frightening, man. It is what it is. Like I don't even know what to tell you. Speaking of Ted, as always, minor league ball team is releasing a bobblehead. Oh, there you go. The Mayo is taking revenge on Eric. Facts. Facts. It's just reality. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Your good friend, your best friend ever, well, outside of Brad Hartland, name. We do appreciate that he's trying to help you out, Eric.
I'm trying to be 5% more mature because it's Monday, but he's making it tough.
We'll see. We'll see if you manage. So we'll do the silly card of the week here in a minute. What I'll do, though, before I do, I'll give you the results of last week's silly card of the week. Normally, we give the results on Monday anyway. Technically, it's Monday. We'll record it, and then Tuesday, the episode will drop. But obviously, it is a Monday, so I'll give you the results of last week's. So we ended up with 35 votes, and the Brady Recovery Jar was the winner with 2/3 of the popular vote. A solid choice, because once I saw that jar, like there was no other selection that made sense. You people made the right decision. Sometimes it's questions, but it was the right choice. Second place was Kool-Aid, and then the third one is not Mark McGuire, even though some people thought it was Mark McGuire.
I thought it was
Refractor. If you're on listening, you promised that it was a surefire win, and I didn't get a surefire win.
I don't think he took into account the Brady Recovery Jar. The Brady Recovery Jar was strong.
He probably even voted for that.
Yeah, let's be honest. That was a strong choice that time around. It's pretty good. So real quick, I want to touch on this. And by the way, this is a live episode. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. We're not gonna do the exact format as the usual because it is live. So if you folks want to participate, you're welcome to do it. Obviously, I've got the overlay, but outside of that, no, we can chat on. I do, like I said, I have one thing that I'll touch on for sure. But then we can be a little bit more open-ended to what you guys want to talk about, including the Spring Expo. So I'll touch on that a little bit here in a minute. Dave says I try to be 5% less insulting. We appreciate the attempt.
It would be appreciated.
So what I'll say is this. One thing that kind of came up as a result of this past weekend's WrestleMania, I'll just say this, touch on this briefly, and I will give you a card angle on it, which is that our Fanatics Overlords did have WrestleMania-specific patches that are going to get put into some WWE products. And apparently some people have started to compile a list of where. Now, the thing, though, is that because of the nature of professional wrestling, the wrestler's gear is not exactly configured in such a way that you can so easily put a patch on a lot of the gear most of the time. It just doesn't make sense because they also want to, most of the time they're keeping the gear and they're reusing it for a while. So what happened is a lot of cases, and actually somebody started compiling a list. In a lot of cases, they put the patch inside the wrestler's boot. So they attach it to the inside of their boot. So they would wrestle the match or do whatever. And then obviously you can take the patch off after. So technically it's been used in the event and, it was part of the entrance. But John Cena, for example, though, and by the way, John Cena has no excuse. I understand he's a heel. So maybe, Eric, this is him going into full heelishness. John Cena literally goes to the ring in a t-shirt. They could literally have slapped the patch onto his t-shirt perfectly legitimately, and it would not have fallen out of place because most of those t-shirts are ugly as sin. But you could have easily put it. But you know where they put it? They attached it to the towel that he walks to the ring with. He wasn't even wearing the damn thing. He was holding the towel, walking to the ring with the towel, and the patch is attached to the towel. Son of a bitch. You lying sack of crap. You're not even wearing this shit.
How about his jorts? They could have put the patch on his jorts.
Look, all I'm saying is that at the least, the t-shirt would have made total sense. You could have put the patch on the shirt. He takes off the shirt when he starts wrestling anyway, and then the Fanatics person can take the shirt away. There you go. You got the shirt and the patch. It's all together. He's basically wearing a uniform, and he leaves you part of the gear available. You can literally just walk away with it and just do what you need to do. So it's John Cena is the easiest one because he literally goes to the ring wearing a t-shirt.
How is this bald spot?
I think they're in the process of trying to hide it.
Yeah.
It's not working out, but they're trying. There is an attempt being made.
Oh, okay.
But I just, my favorite part though about that whole deal though, my favorite thing about the whole thing was that the returns have come back, and let's just say the people are not pleased. The natives are restless. And shockingly, a WrestleMania with the lamest build in probably decades is not filling everybody with great, signs of greatness. They're not enthralled. And shockingly, a nearly 50-year-old man who also has movie commitments and can't really commit himself to possibly getting hurt has to move at half speed. And Cody Rhodes isn't exactly the most exciting person in the world. So the combination is a very lame WrestleMania. And by the way, The Rock didn't show up. And by the way, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't. Like, all these ideas that people came up with is like, how about Travis Scott? What if we go with Travis Scott? How about that?
I don't know who that is.
Exactly, Eric. Exactly. I do know who that is, and I'm just telling you it was lame. But there are plenty of people like you who don't know who that is, so it didn't help. It didn't add anything.
I don't know who that is.
They were trying to
use. Is that a wrestler?
Yes, it's a rapper. Allegedly.
Oh.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. He's a rapper.
Well, good for him.
So
yeah,
if Fanatics is going the patch route with the WWE stuff, and I get it, they got the licensing and all that, and I get it.
Yeah.
Some would argue till they're blue in the face that, you know, this is quote unquote sport, which we could go the other direction and say football is just like wrestling, it's scripted or whatever, but it's predetermined, somewhat scripted, you know, soap opera style. Let's bring some drama and you know, slap each other in the ring kind of thing. Do you think they're like, how far do we see Fanatics going? Where are we going to start getting like actors and actresses, their premiere movie wearing some patch or something? Like, which road, how far does this winding trail lead us that they're going to squeeze out of this?
The answer is whatever they make cards from. Anything they make cards from, they're totally going to use this gimmick. And good evening, Philly Joe. Yes, it is Monday. But Philly Joe, I got to tell you, Eric, it hurts my feeling because I said on the live stream and I said on the podcast, we did warn people many times that there was going to be a Monday live.
Yeah.
So it is Monday today. And the Monday live is as I have foreseen and as I have foretold.
Yes. Yeah, we've been letting people know this was a plan for a couple 2-3 weeks now.
Yeah, I didn't sneak this one up on you.
No.
I let you all know.
This was not an impromptu. Carlos didn't want to edit tonight live stream. This one was planned.
Yeah. This one doesn't even say impromptu in the title. It literally just says the normal BIC episode number, and it's got live at the end, but it literally has the number. It's all. I had the thumbnail and everything done last night. The placeholder was in place.
Not go under the category of thou shall not effort.
Nope. I had this one ready to go. I had it all planned out for Expo week, like Shark Week. But
and just before we
get on it.
And just before we get too far, Mom, stop being nice to Name. All right, I'm telling you, I'm going to shut your hot water off.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to come down there. I'm going to flip the switch. You can have a cold shower in the morning. Stop being nice to him. Knock it off.
I would say Eric is going heel, but it's kind of his normal behavior. I would love to tell you he's being heelish, but that's just normal. Yes, at this point, Fanatics isn't impressing anyone. At least the back in the day gimmicks were entertaining. So I'll actually show you, kind of in line with what I was saying, and then I'll move on to the other little story that I wanted to touch on. But here, I'll show you specifically this one. So this is actually from the Fanatics Collect Instagram. So there it is. So you can see that. So Eric, there's John Cena. He's wearing his T-shirt, going to the ring. Like he's going to the ring, and the patch is right there. It's right on the towel. So he's got this towel that he goes. This is normal for him. Like he's got this towel that he goes to the ring with, and they change it up every time. But it's literally the patch is attached to the towel.
The last time is now. Yet
yeah,
he wins the title.
Yeah, this year is kind of his retirement year. He's concluding at the end of this. At the end of this year, he is he's retiring.
Oh, so he has the entire rest of the year to wrestle in.
Basically, December 31st is supposed to be the end. Whatever, right up until that point, they're basically going to. So this was his 17th championship win, the record-breaking win. So they'll probably milk this for at least a couple months. I would expect him to at least be around through SummerSlam, if not through close to the end of the year. Like milk it while you can, right? Get what you can out of this. So this will be kind of his last title run and presumably his last run in wrestling.
I don't follow this like I used to during the Attitude Era, so I don't know about stuff. But it gun to my head before a week ago. Gun to my head, I would have told you he's been retired for 5 years.
Well, in terms of number of matches he's had, that's not far from the truth.
I didn't know he was still relevant.
Well, he'll always be relevant.
You just couldn't. And that's see a different him, Eric.
Yeah, I understand that's his gimmick. I don't particularly understand all that either, but whatever. Again, if it, I was a wrestling fan. No, ma'am. Sorry.
So I was gonna say, settle down there, Eric. Settle down.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching all through. I mean, I remember when Hulk won the title, so I watched it from then all the way, saw the first WrestleMania all the way up through the Attitude Era, and then I haven't watched anything since. So I can give you a history from the 1980 all the way up until the end of the Attitude Era, and then I can't tell you a damn thing about it.
I could probably give you most of that history, and I have a lot less concussions, so there's a better chance that I'm speaking truth. Because if we listen to your history, you'd be like, so then Hulk Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik to win the world title. So far, so good. The fact checker, Brandon. So far, so good. Okay. And then George Washington came down and congratulated him because he was the sitting president. Nope, we lost it. It's over. Like we nope.
That was a bad day.
Just saying.
I really thought he was. I really thought he was in charge.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I want to be relying on Eric's memory, Brandon. Is my point that I'm saying. Like, he might get a couple of things right, but like I have concerns. I might not want to go that whole way there. I haven't watched wrestling forever, but I think the Rules of Succession era is kind of underrated. I think it was okay. I think after the Attitude Era, it's very difficult to follow that up. However, I think there was some good in the Ruthless Aggression era. It was probably the last decent era, and there were moments after that and became a lot less interesting. I was watching as a fan through a lot of it. After last year's WrestleMania, I made the joke about it. I did go back and listen. So I was telling you guys, I did go back and listen to my predictions for WrestleMania 40 on the Wrestling Channel. I stopped making videos directly about the product because then you enter into, you want to talk about divisive. If you have opinions on the wrestling, some of those kids get up in them feels. if your opinion stands different from, the amount of bitching and moaning and whining, oh my God. Like, listen, I get enough of that shit in sports cards. I don't need it in two different categories. All right. If you don't agree with the people, like, oh my God. But and trust me, I heard a lot of it at that time. So I was like, all right, this is the last stuff I'm doing for it leading into WrestleMania 40. My commitment was, I said, I'm going to watch this WrestleMania. I have a pretty good sense of where this is going to go. And I predicted where it was going to follow after, because I believed that Cody Rhodes was going to win, which obviously happened. And I said, a lot of people are going to praise this. And I didn't quite phrase it this way, but I basically suggested that it was about to begin the era of mediocrity. And it's so much fun, Brandon, watching now, coming out of this WrestleMania 41. They're like, oh my God, it's so mediocre. And I'm like, go on. Keep going. Tell me more. It's like, but Cody Rhodes, isn't that good? It's as Carlos foretold over a year ago. I told y'all. Brandon, they don't listen. The kids just don't listen.
Do you think the WWE is going to officially label it the mediocre era?
I think considering Triple H now, Paul Levesque, he's got to be Paul Levesque now. He's no longer Triple H. He's Paul Levesque. Considering the chief content officer, Paul Levesque, went on the podcast circuit leading into WrestleMania. Instead of promoting the product, he was getting into fights and arguments with his own fan base. He goes, I wish these guys would just stop critiquing it and just watch it as a fan. It's like, the people out there complaining on the internet world, it's like, they're not real fans. They're not real people. And I'm like,
they are.
Yeah, like they're the ones literally paying for your shit.
And taking time out. It would only a fan would take time out of their day to bitch about it on the interwebs.
Yeah, because they are not happy with what they are seeing. Otherwise, they would just stop watching and then they'd have nothing to say.
I am not a fan anymore. I don't care. I did not make one post on any website. I am not your audience, Mr. Levesque.
Yeah. The thing is, he's decided to pick a fight with the people that are complaining about it because they don't like it. And I'm like, I can't see what could possibly go wrong. I think that's a great idea.
So now he's taken my shtick.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think you should fight him.
This is on. Well, he only lives up. The state above, right? He's.
Well, Eric, here's the good news, Brandon. This is good news. Eric's got to replace hip. So, and he's old. However, Paul Levesque's older than he is, and he has a bad heart. Eric, you can take this bastard.
With the garden hose. Just let him park on your yard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't. Oh, God, don't do that.
You can take him. You can take this man. Suspension of belief requires great storylines. Yeah. The point is, so to make a long story short, I won't bore you guys with the wrestling anymore. Just to make a long story short, I got a great personal satisfaction out of everything bearing out more or less the way that I said it would over a year ago. That is extreme, Brandon. That's extremely satisfying. I have audio record of me stating this well in advance, and now it's just all the chickens have come home to roost, Brandon. All the chickens are coming home to roost all at once, and I am in my glory. It's wonderful.
I'm so far removed from it. Like, I watched it a little bit as a youngster, but it was never something I went to some matches when I was young, but I was never really into it. It wasn't really my thing.
Yep. But Eric, in the grand spirit of what I say, vote with your wallet. I have not watched 1 second of live WWE programming since the end of WrestleMania 40 over a year ago. I said I wouldn't because I have no interest in it. But, well, Carlos, how do you know what's going on? How do you keep track? You can read the summaries. It takes you 2 minutes. It's not difficult. And if there's something, I can catch a clip like on YouTube, and it'll be like 2 minutes, and I'm caught up. I don't need to be sitting there evaluating. That's why we had the discussion weeks ago. Remember, we talked about how much it's tougher for a lot of these live events to necessarily capture our attention. We have less time than we've ever had, a lot of us, depending on your situation. So you got to show me something that I feel is worthy of me sitting down and taking my time, which is increasingly in shorter supply and therefore more valuable. You must really show me something to get me to commit to sitting down and taking this time to watch whatever you're presenting. If you're not doing that, then I'm not going to give you my time. That includes sporting events, that includes wrestling, that includes a TV show, anything else. If I'm not into what you're doing, I can't give you my time because I got other things pulling at my attention in different directions. It's got to be good. If it's good, I will give you my time. I'll sit down and I'll watch and I'll pay attention. Otherwise, I got other stuff to do, man.
Yeah.
Lawn supremacy match. Yes.
Don't park on my lawn.
Throw your opponent through the sprinklers. Listen, I think you can take Levesque. Eric, at this point, with his bad heart, you can take Levesque now.
Well, I have really good cardio. If I can get him to chase me around a little bit and have a heart attack, then boom.
I think you got him.
As long as you don't fall down.
Yep, basically. Just stay upright and you pretty much got this, man. You got this, fool. We believe in you, Eric.
Thank you.
I'll be your corner man and I won't even betray you.
We'll call it the Battle of New England. He's a New Hampshire guy. I'm a Massachusetts guy.
Amazing. Look at Brandon. Look at Bubbles. Let's go. We're going to make it happen now. It'll be more exciting than WrestleMania because
the winner gets a pizza from Pizza Hut. Book it.
I would.
Eric, we'll get Travis Scott to interfere on your behalf. John Cena is now his ally, and you're all Massachusetts guys.
Well, so I'll be like, who the hell are you?
It's okay. John Cena will introduce you. He's from Massachusetts. It's fine.
I know he is. He's from Newbury.
Exactly. So just let the Newbury guy do the introductions and we'll be fine.
All right.
Works out. So anyway, so that's it. I thought I just wanted to take a moment to bask in my glory and being so correct. And it's wonderful. I enjoy it thoroughly.
Well, since Eric's throwing out all the wrestlers that live in his neighborhood, The Rock has a nice place near me. So there, I guess I'm one side Rock, Team Rock.
Well, if you've gone outside, you could have been like, "Hey, Rock, why aren't you at WrestleMania?" He goes, "Fuck that guy."
He actually used to go to the Gold's Gym that's not far from here while his ranch was being built and the home gymnasium was being installed. He would go to Gold's so he could work out.
Nice. All right. So you want a little segue there, Eric? Since we were talking about all those Massachusetts things, you want to hear about a find of vintage cards in Massachusetts? Oh, because I can talk about a find of vintage. See,
somebody raided your house, Eric.
This is a segue. I know. All right, let me quickly share this. This here is written by Bob D'Angelo on Sports Collectors Daily. I'll include a link in the description for the replay. So that'll be there for the replay. I'll include it on there. But I thought I would share this because I came across it. This article was just from yesterday. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so here it is. Fabulous 50s find. Rhode Island dealer buys stunning lot of 50s Topps cards. Now, specifically, this dealer came across this offer that was brought to him at a show in Quincy, Massachusetts. So that's why I say we can have the Massachusetts connection here. So basically, like, and it happens in a lot of shows. Somebody comes by and says, basically, we've got this collection. Or would you be interested in it?
This show.
Yep. Northeast Sports Card Expo. Nice. Yeah. So basically, they comes across, hey, we got these cards. Would you be interested in checking it out? The guy says, yeah, sure. So here's the thing. So this lot of cards includes thousands of baseball cards from the 50s, including 21 Sandy Koufax rookies. That's already a massive collection. So that's pretty good. So right there, you can see that. Now, give me 1 second. I'm just getting a knock on the door. I'll come right back. But right as a starting point, by the way, we've talked about this before. A lot of these 50s and vintage cards are out there. Like, these collections are there. I want to give you some of the summary of this, but just to start off with, Eric, 21 Sandy Koufax rookies. I'll come right back.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like Carlos said, these are out there. I mean, it's about whether or not you can afford them. And what ends up happening with vintage cards, throughout the last 50 or so years, when an older person passes away, their family has to deal with this collection, and we at the shop are constantly getting really great stuff in from families that come in and say, hey, my grandfather passed, my elderly father passed. And we open up the stuff and it's, stuff like this. I myself helped the shop purchase some high quality 50s baseball not that long ago.
It's after you get in a fight with Triple H. So I think it's a valid point. It's a valid point. So real quick, I'll pause you for 1 second. I'll read a couple of it, but it was it turned out it was just a political canvasser. They're trying to just hand me like a flyer. I'm like, go away. So anyway, I was going to fight him. It was going to be a WrestleMania match. It was going to be great. So hundreds of cards from 52 and 56, including 8 56 mantle cards. So obviously I started with the Sandy Koufax, 8 56 mantle cards. Pretty good. So overall, it turns out to be a whole ton. Like, here you go. Just scrolling ahead. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description for you. You can check it out for yourself because there's quite a bit. Multiple Kamene cards. Check it out. Al K-line. Multiple 55 tops Al K-lines. So there's some second-year K-lines. And we've even got some 52 tops Willie Mays. Some good stuff. Like, there's a lot here.
And they're looking in good shape.
Yeah. So on the whole, like, it's not super near mint, but there's some decent stuff in there. Pretty solid. 852 tops cards, VGH to EX. No high numbers for Mickey Mantle, so not like super crazy, but still, like, look, hoarding different stuff. Like 56 tops Ernie Banks. Pretty good. Whole stack of those. Some multiple Mantles. Here's some 53 Satchel Pages, Yogi Berra, Jackie Robinson. Solid stuff. Like, top. Is it in super mint condition? No, but it's these cards are very nice. These are very nice cards, and there's plenty of collectors who would love to have these cards in a good, solid grade. The point is, there is stuff like that out there.
Oh yeah,
these finds are still there, and in this case, it was somebody who decided to hoard it, because a collector isn't grabbing 21 Sandy Koufax. Well, a collector maybe, but also a collector / hoarder. They wanted to have. I want to have all the Koufaxes, whole pile of them. They'll do a little Scrooge McDuck swim in them, apparently. So.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah.
What I've been thinking about, and we've had this discussion. I've talked about it on my channel. We've talked about it together. The people of that generation, and Eric said earlier in this episode here tonight that the average age is about 80 years old, right? You can do the math there and kind of put together about where people that are 80 today, where they were born and all that, and where they would have been in their youth. But even take them as a youngster. So 80 years old today, they would have been born in what, 45, I believe. My math is checking out.
45.
Correct.
For your maths are correct. 45, yes.
So at 45, let's say 10 years old, 12, 15 years old, they would have been, 1955, 1960. Even still their parents might have had some of these from the earlier years and passed them down to the children. But those generations were different than today's generations, because I remember my grandfather, like, when after he passed away and I was helping my grandmother go, like, through the garage and everything, I was finding piles of used spark plugs from where he would, like, do a tune-up on his truck or the lawnmower or something. I was like, "Why did he keep all this stuff?" And they were brought up where everything if there was a
Fresh stuff.
possibility that you could repurpose it or restore it or whatever, you did
Yep.
not get rid of it. You used it until it was no longer usable. And it was the
Mhm.
same way with, other aspects. So they weren't keeping these cards to flip or go to a show or whatever. They literally were keeping them. They had them and they kept them. And now, as they're passing along, you've moved into these other generations. And unless it's someone, like if my grandfather had cards, obviously I would have been ecstatic, right? And they would be prized pieces in my collection, but he didn't collect. But a lot of people have no use for them, and they would rather, especially in today's times, they would rather have the money from it. And so, it's not maybe they looked and said, "Oh, there's 21 Sandy Koufax. Well, I only need one of them. Let me keep one." And, they got 20 more. Well, they're now going out into, circulation. And I don't want to say that the stuff is plentiful or overprinted or anything like that, but we've always perceived it as being rarer than it really is because we never could account for how much of it was in collections and how much of it was tucked away because it hadn't surfaced and been put into the marketplace.
Yeah, I think the 50s stuff you're still gonna have. I think it was fun for me to come across that because it was such a horde of certain specific cards. Again, the
Look,
Kofax is being a good example. It's a nice pile of them all at once, but there have been some pre-war finds. There's been plenty. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, even, we see a lot of it in the baseball side, and I've seen Paul here was in the chat. Look
Yeah,
at the Discord. What was it? A few weeks ago, Wes showed a picture, and the guy had like, what was it, 8 Jim Brown or something like that? I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure there's still, stacks of that kind of stuff. The collections I don't think you're going to see a lot of is the basketball because it was such a broken, segmented periods of it. I don't know
Yeah.
that you're going to find a ton of that, but
I also think it was just less popular. So there just
yeah,
wasn't as much made just based on just the lack of popularity.
yeah, and I mean, I'm not sitting here saying how much of it is out there, but we keep seeing this stuff turning up more and more. And it's just because, again, we're in that period where the folks are aging out. And if the generations behind that being left to have no interest, it's just let me cash in on it. So
Mhm. Sure. So let me scroll through here. So Paul was saying, evening, gents. We covered the shit show that was Mania yet. We did touch on that briefly. We might circle back around, but for now, I think we touched on it briefly. I gave a little high level synopsis of some of the key pieces. I didn't want to spend too much time on it because I know the majority of the audience isn't too keen. I wanted to just touch on it briefly. Look, I just want to take my moment. Eric, when we get something right, we got to take advantage of a moment, especially when we have
Well, it
audio
happens rarely.
confirmation that we nailed it.
Yeah, what's happened so rarely. You got to take a moment.
Yeah, like you got to take a moment. Take a moment, get your victory lap in, when you can. Take advantage. So just real quick, Sadler had a question. So how fast do you move this collection the store buys?
Immediately. I mean, we just had like some 53 baseball of full 53 baseball set, almost in mint condition. One owner. Um, we got it in the morning, moved it in the afternoon. The whole
Yep.
the whole set. Yeah, it
Now
was
I'll throw
crazy.
something at you here, Eric, in the same vein, and this will give me a good segue into AMG Collectibles. AMG Collectibles.ca, the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. See, Brandon, look at that. Look at that smooth transition. Beautiful. You know why I can say that though? Because lately, Steve, the Scallops Collector of the People, has been getting some vintage in. And what happens is we showcase it, we talk about it, we look at it, but a lot of that's out in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, Canada, there's still pockets of vintage that have gotten out there. Well, the thing is, these are from collectors that are moving these vintage. Well, what happens is they bring in the vintage. Steve finds it, of course, he's into that. He's interested in checking it out and obviously trying to make a deal on it. Well, if he does pick it up, and we are showcasing it, almost as fast as the stuff is coming in, the stuff is getting sold because there are other folks that are coming in that are collectors of it that want it. Vintage baseball, vintage football, vintage basketball, vintage baseball, all of it, and vintage hockey, even the hockeys, all of it. There is probably somebody who's working on sets. There's probably somebody that's working on individual cards. They're into it. So that's what happens. That's basically, and it's not a surprise, but that's even out in Atlantic, Canada, and even the vintage baseball with Manos and stuff. There was a collection he bought with multiple Manos in that collection. Well, guess what? Not only did somebody come in with it, other people have been buying it. So there is a market for it, obviously. Even what seems like, vintage baseball, Eric, Atlantic, Canada is not the first place I think of as a hotbed of vintage baseball. And yet, not only did they have the cards, there were people who were willing to buy the cards the moment they became available. So there it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate in Boston to have, sports teams that have been around since, the last century. And when these old cards come in, and one of them had one of the sets that came in, correct me if I don't know everything about baseball, but that whatever Ted Williams rookie was, I think it was 53, I think.
No, Ted Williams rookie would have been in the 40s. Oh, no, 39. 39.
Yeah, it's 39 play ball.
And that's the other set that was in, because we had a full set of whatever Ted Williams rookie was in, the whole set, every single one of them.
Yep. So look, Eric, I won't spoil too much, but again, in the same vein of what I just talked about, I'm going to record an AMG episode tomorrow that will drop on Wednesday on that. Links in the description. And I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. Autogram Sammy Ba.
Very nice.
That's all I'm saying. Autogram Sammy Ba.
Yeah.
Again, Atlantic, Canada.
Right.
Not the first thing you think of. And yet, I have those pictures. I've seen those pictures, and they will come up again soon on that channel. Thank you, AMG, for supporting the channel on the live stream and the podcast. Stanley here. Sorry it took a while to get back to your question. Do you have a booth to sell cards? I do not. I hang out there, and I've got some buddies who do have tables who will be selling cards. I'm not there operating as a dealer. I'll usually give them a hand. Usually if there's something on there that they need a hand with, I'll give them a hand with it. But mostly I'm just there to hang out. I'm there to enjoy it as a collector. I went to the bank machine, did some of my errands, including pulling out some cash so that I got some cash ready to go. We'll talk about the expo here in a minute. But I'm starting to put together all the different components in order to be a readiness. And I'm also going to record a video that will be on this channel talking about basically what I've got in mind. Got a ComC box that I'm going to be submitting some cards for those folks. Already printed out the little slip, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll do a standalone video where I'll talk about all that stuff. Basically what I have in mind, what I've got planned. But yeah, I'm going in as a collector and mostly to hang out and have some fun. Plus, I got to be the welcome wagon, welcome name to the expo for the very first time. What a coincidence that Eric can't make it on the show that name shows up.
Won't make it.
No, Eric, there's a cause and effect. As soon as you said won't make it, name was like, I'm in.
And
I'm in. Let's go.
I don't care which came first, the chicken or the egg. The point is, I don't have to hang out with them, so I'm good.
All I hear is a man, Brandon, who seethed with jealousy. He goes, name, no.
Excuses, Eric.
Yeah, that's right. Carlos LTT of Sports Cars with the Segways. Thank you, sir. I'm assuming you're saying Linus Tech Tips, in which case, that's heady praise. Heady praise. We do what we can, man. We do what we can, Paul. Look, I'm trying to help you, man. What a coincidence. And by the way, no false advertising. I have the pictures. I'm looking at the pictures right in the text message thread, and they will be showcased, and they are both there, and it is 100% true. They are real. And they are decent. I was going to say spectacular, but let's face it, Brandon. It's the footballs. But they're real. And they will be part of that show. They will be part of the showcase.
Are they real and are they fabulous?
Spectacular is the word but no, they're not. Oh. They're footballs. They're vintage footballs. I'd say deflated, but it goes without saying.
Boy.
Just saying. It's my first time going. Comfortable shoes, I heard, is key. Ah, yes. All right, let's use Stanley's questions to okay. So, Eric, I'm going to be 5% more mature here.
Okay.
I am. Look, Brandon, can you believe that Eric thinks so little of my professionalism? that he is with his face. Look at that face. He is questioning my integrity, Brandon.
You're just talking about
Questioning.
shoes.
Yes.
How
First of all, I'm talking about
can
shoes.
you be?
Sir, first of all, I'm talking about shoes. So calm down. Calm down, Eric. All right. So first off, comfortable shoes, I heard, is key. This is true. It's become a cliche and a joke because obviously it's that piece of advice has been driven into the ground. But there is truth to it because you're talking about a hard floor. You're talking about a convention center. You're talking about a lot of walking. Your mileage may vary, but one point that I've heard made that I think was actually a good point. Sometimes a new pair of shoes might be the play rather than worrying about them being overly comfortable. I'll be honest. I won't speak for anybody else. I've used a lot of different sets of shoes at this point. Most of the pairs of shoes, maybe the thing is, Eric, maybe I'm just naturally selecting decent shoes to start off with. Not like don't get like fancy basketball shoes or like, basketball level Jordans necessarily. But, the New Balances are fine. A lot of the other ones are fine as long as they got a decent sole on them. Go ahead.
Has anybody ever thought about checking to see what kind of shoes like the nurses and doctors at the hospital wear? Because they're
Crocs.
Well, I was thinking.
I don't think Crocs are going to work over. I don't think Crocs are going to work over an Expo season. I don't think so, man. I think for shift at the hospital, they're probably good because they're breathable. I don't think it's going to work over an Expo showcase. I don't think so, man. Okay. So let me answer the rest of this. Is legitimately
somebody should test this. Somebody should
listen. We might have to get the science on this. All right. I'll read a couple of comments here. All right. So, comfortable. Is Jeremy Lee's event worth checking out? Okay. Eric, I want you to be impressed because I'm going to do this 5% more maturely. I hope y'all are watching. This is how professional I am. It depends. You know why? Because there are going to be a lot of people there. I don't think much of Jeremy Lee. People who have been watching this channel for a while already kind of know why. But I'm going to spare you that. For the sake of this conversation, just understand that I don't like the guy. And I've got good reasons for not liking the guy. However, the question was, is it worth checking out? The answer is maybe. And the answer is it depends. Why? Because there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be there. There are going to be, and it is a networking event. And because it's quote unquote, it's even phrased as a networking event. That means if your desire is to network and see some people that are in different, businesses in the hobby, people that may do YouTube, people that do that, I won't be there because again, my previous utterance kind of already covered that. However, there are plenty of people who will be. So if you're interested in hanging out and getting a chance to chat with some folks that either you see on YouTube or that may run some business in the hobby, and maybe you'd like to have a chance to chat with some like-minded individuals and talk some shop and grab a bite and all that, then the answer is yes. Eric's almost about to keel over. See what I did there?
I'm just waiting.
Professionalism. No, Eric, that's it. The answer is, if that's what you want to do, then your answer is yes.
I'll just add that I always have a very nice time.
Yes, and Eric is stupid. But the point is that if the categories that I just gave you are truthful, then yeah, sure. There's some of us who won't for the reasons that I aforementioned.
I always have a very nice time.
I'm sure you do. But Eric is also a Boston Bruins fan, so take that with what you will. He enjoys getting kicked in the junk.
I always have a very nice time.
Not to bring up anything bad here, but I am curious. How long has it been since Boston hasn't been in the playoffs? Because it's got to be probably a pretty decent amount of time, hasn't
it? We were in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Yeah, the playoffs part is easy. Like in hockey, Eric made the playoffs last year. He's not a team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how long has it been since Boston wasn't in the playoffs?
I don't think. Eric, was there like they're usually around, yeah. Has it been a while? Has it been like a big gap between the last time they were not?
I'll just Google it.
Yeah. All right, real quick. So while you're doing that, let me finish reading these comments here. Trying to finish my 85 OPG set. I think you'll have a lot of good luck at Expo. I think that's a very doable set inside of that show floor. I was told to bring the New Balances for name. Yes. What about food? Food at the premises? Yes. I'll add this. If you want food, here's your pro tip for people who are new to Expo. So now we can get into a couple of pro tips. If you're new to Expo, the venue does have food. The food is a lot better than it was in years past.
Oh,
Way
yeah.
better. Way
Oh,
better. In the past, to be blunt, it was garbage. It was
Crap.
garbage. It was garbage.
Crash.
But today it's decent. It's overpriced, but it's still decent relative. Again, we're grading on a curve here. We're talking convention food. It's
Yes.
decent. However, where the convention center is, I don't remember which hall it's in now. You'll have to take a look. Look at the show map ahead of time. That's a piece of advice I always give everybody. Look at the show map ahead of time. So where the convention center is, down towards, if you go towards the parking lot and you start heading towards the road and everything, there is literally a plaza right beside the convention center. If you take, it might be a little bit of a trek depending on which part of the convention center you're coming out of. But the point is, literally a parking lot down across, you head into a plaza. That plaza has a couple of different establishments. It's got the Subway. It's not Subway, but it's Firehouse Subs. Firehouse Subs are decent sub, better than Subway. Decent subs on that one, good. You've got Tim Hortons just over there, good. You've got, again, we're not talking gourmet cuisine, but it's serviceable food that'll get you some. And by the way, it'll be priced normally. That's the important part. It'll be priced normally, and it'll get the job done to help you refuel in the meantime, and it will be cheaper than paying for the convention food. So, and you've got a couple of eating establishments right there in a little plaza. And if you want to go a little further down the road, you want to hop in your car for a minute and drive down a couple minutes, then do that. There's Zet's restaurant. There's a couple of restaurants if you go down the road. And there's also restaurants inside a bunch of the hotels that are better, that are not far. Again, if you don't mind hopping in a car for a couple minutes. But if you just don't want to wander too far, across the parking lot, there's a plaza there. There's food options. You don't have to go far, but you can leave the convention floor. You walk outside the convention floor, keep your little wristband on, go down there. It'll be cheaper. It'll be normal price. But if you're willing to pay a little bit extra money, then yes, there are some food options in there, and they're much better than they were in the past.
Much.
So hopefully that helps. Lurking case of plantar fasciitis, more likely than prosciutto. Yes. The lemonade guy at the Expo figured out the perfect ratio of lemons, water, ice, and sugar. Many have tried, few have succeeded. See, that right there is a ringing endorsement. I love it. I think Jeremy said he's opened a case of high-end product. Going there, gone people there, but I don't think it like big crowds, so maybe bad idea. Well, if you don't like big crowds, then maybe not so much.
That's why he's moving it to the bigger establishment, I think, because last November we were packed in pretty tight at the last place. So
yeah, Jack Astor's is where they've been doing previously. Now I think they're doing it at Arizona's. By the way, I have been to Arizona's before. It is much better situated for that if that's what you want to do. Again, to each their own. I already said not for me, for reasons that I've alluded to, but if you want to check it out for that, that is. If you're not keen into crowds though, by the time things really get going, it will be a decent amount of people there. Let's just be honest, there will be. So if big crowds aren't necessarily your thing, then maybe not so much. If you do want to schmooze a little bit and hang out with folks, then there is an opportunity there to do that if that is your desire. Again, that is my 5% more mature answer. Eric, give me credit.
I give you credit.
That's right.
Credit has been given. Yeah, you'll see some familiar faces there if you go.
Correct. A man of peace has no name. Truth. Guys, helps out a lot. No worries. Don't move your car. Parking be tough there. You might find yourself walking a mile to space. Yeah, that's why I gave you guys options. I just want to make sure that.
And when it comes to parking, I purposefully park far away and walk. I don't mind to walk, right? Because if you try to park deeper into the parking lot, and if you try to stay to the end of the show when everyone leaves, it is insane trying to get out of there. And if you're coming out of the parking
it becomes gridlock,
and you try to take a left out on the main road, you're putting your life in your hands because there's no lights. It's the craziest thing of it. You got to go almost 4 lanes of traffic to take a left, and there's no lights. So getting out of the parking lot is insane. So I park all the way close to the road, and I walk the quarter of a mile to the.
I'll say this, and again, here's maybe kind of a pro tip again. I'll repeat what I said a few minutes ago. I've been to the show well over 50 times at this point. It's twice a year, but I've been going since the mid 90s. So when I say over 50 times, probably way over 50 times. unless you've got a damn good reason for staying right to the end, I leave a little early. Now, there are ways you can get around it, ways you can make your life a little easier. Right here, based on this, if you're using an Uber, then you can cheat a little bit here. You want, again, I'm giving you pro tips, like legitimately. I'm giving you some pro tips based on Eric can attest. I have a lot of experience with the show, all angles from it. Okay. So if I were you and you're going to take an Uber, cool. Don't take it from the convention center proper. Some of the Uber drivers have no idea how to get there. The parking situation we just talked about is a pain in the ass. It might not be worth your while. Here, and this will be a fun one, Brandon. Not a lot of people wouldn't think of this. You know what I like to do sometimes? If I would leave a little bit early, not right to the end of the show for the show day. Again, depending on how much time you want to spend there. And what I would do is I would walk over to that Tim Hortons that's just down the way, and I'd get my Uber from there. It's easier, number one, for them to find it. Number two, it's easier for them to get there. And number three, you've actually cut some of the distance from it. So you actually save maybe a couple of bucks and a pain in the ass getting out of that parking lot. You have just completely cut that off.
Yes, so I was trying to guess where you were going. Okay.
Go ahead.
But I was wrong.
Sure.
You're actually, so I was taking your thou shalt not effort approach.
Brandon, normally I would go, but the headaches, the savings of the headache savings are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, well, see,
this is gold, Jerry, gold.
You mentioned there was a firehouse, right? And so I thought
there is a
trick where you door dashed the firehouse to the convention center and then ask the DoorDash driver if he happened to also do Uber and then just got your Uber out of there.
Hey, listen, not all of us have
food, your ride, both in one, and you didn't.
Not all of us have Eric like button money, man. Not all of us have Eric like button money. There's only so much we can do.
I thought that's where you were going with it, but hey, I don't know if it'll work, but you know.
But look, I'm saying that my trick that I just gave you does work. It saves you a headache for them to get there. It saves you a little bit of time because trust me, there's plenty of Uber drivers in the area. But I can, again, speaking from experience, I guarantee you will get your Uber ride faster than the peasants who are waiting right beside the convention center, and you will already be on your way back to the hotel or the restaurant or whatever you want to be. You will already be on your way while they're still struggling to get out of the parking lot.
And save yourself like a quarter mile, you said.
Absolutely. Yes.
You're saving money at the same time.
Yeah.
But you got eat it a little bit. Get a couple extra steps in. Leave a smidge early, get a couple extra steps. And while you're waiting for the driver, you can grab a snack if you want. Grab a donut. I don't care. Do whatever you need to do. But go to the bathroom. While you're doing that, right? You order your Uber and then they're there. Boom. You take right off. You're going to go on the same street anyway, but you just saved yourself a headache getting out of that parking lot. Much smarter.
Trying to find you and you trying to find them. And no, it's insanity. It's
Eric, strategery. I am advocating for strategery.
Yeah. The people that have to come, that I give rides to or whatever, are always like, why did you park way over here? This walk is crazy. I go, because you see that line that wraps around the building? We're going to skip all that.
Yeah, totally. Look, again, understand something. And Brandon's point wasn't wrong, but I want to make an important caveat here. I want to make a very important caveat. So here, absolutely not a problem. Want to meet the podcast guys, but not that bad. If you want to meet the podcast folks from like Gong Show or whatever, do it on the show floor. It'll be easier to find them. Just telling you in advance. Good evening, Double D. Absolutely. Appreciate you. Burger Griswold advice. Yep. I'm going to take the bus or Uber. Fair. Good information. Thank you. No problem. Turning 40 is not all that bad. Wisdom and Expo pro tips come with it. Yep. Well, listen, I got this, man. I got you. Look, when Expo pro tips, I got you. When it comes to this, I am a subject matter expert. I've got a lot of dirty tricks up my sleeve. Trust me. And that's why I say, ask me, feel free, because I've got some answers for you. But the reason why, and Brandon's point wasn't wrong, but there is a balancing act between thou shall not effort, and I don't want to deal with the headache of this bullshit. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Yes. Do I enjoy taking those extra steps, walking across the parking lot all the time? No, I don't. I'm a lazy son of a bitch. However, I'm not an idiot, because in that additional time that you think you're saving, no, Eric, you're an idiot. I am a genius man and a man of peace. But because of that, my goal is to create the least amount of headaches for myself. The answer is take those extra steps, walk across that fucking parking lot, Go and sit yourself down in a comfortable spot, grab your drink, and then the Uber guy will be there. Save yourself the headache. You don't have to stand outside like a peasant. Go, you can have a seat, wait for them to come by, easier for them to find you, easier trip out. You save a little bit of time, you save a little bit of money, way better. And then go wherever the hell you want. You want to go to the thing at Arizona's? Go for it. It's down there. You want to go back to your hotel and drop off your stuff and grab a bite to eat? Go for it. All these options are available to you, but you got to get out of the area. You got to get out of the convention center area with the least amount of additional headache that you can.
Yeah.
And I just told you how to do it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Save yourself the headache. Trust me. Just save yourself the headache. Speaking from experience, you do you, but I'm just telling you. Even Jeff, imagine it's like leaving a football stadium. Best to take the shuttle. Yes. But the shuttle in this case, though, you want to separate yourself from the stadium. For this analogy, get away from the stadium, get a little distance between you and it, and your life will be way easier. Stick with me, kid. Trust me on this. It will save you a headache. Speaking from experience. If it comes to meeting the loud collector, stay out of arm's reach. She likes to talk with his hands. There you go. I don't think loud collector is that kind of person. Yes. Yes, yes. Phil. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes. You can hear him from down the road. In fact, he's in Ottawa. And wait, I think I hear him now. And I'm nowhere near Ottawa. So yes. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it's wasted energy, Stanley. Because you see, Eric, I have a lot of energy because I can do 4-hour marathon podcasts with no sleep.
Yes, I know you have accomplished that recently.
Mm-hmm. But the point is, it's harnessing the energy properly. With the kind of energy we're talking about, it's like nuclear power that's, gone out of control, and the control rods are out, and Brandon, it's about to explode, and we're about to die. That's different. You must control and harness the energy. And they punched me in the face while I was minding my business. Exactly. Scary times.
But I've almost punched you in the face several times myself.
Yeah, but you did it intentionally. He's just aggressively hand talking. It's different.
Oh, okay.
Aggressive hand talking is incidental.
Yeah, I just assumed it was because Paul was driving him nuts too.
Stanley, Greek. You nailed it on the first try. Loud collector is Greek. The aggressive hand talking, very dangerous. Got to be very careful. You could lose an eye that way. Yes. So let me know. So name or Stanley or anybody else. So I'm going to go to the silly card of the week now. We're going to do that right now to have a little bit of fun. But if you do have any questions about Expo, like, by the way, for the record, Stanley's question and names kind of follow up in the comments and everything. That was actually a really good question. And it led to a very good pro tip. So forget about the comfortable shoes. Obviously, we joke about the comfortable shoes. But no, the way of dealing with the Uber and getting that situation resolved, that's a pro tip I can offer. But you got to ask the right question, because there's a lot of this stuff is like a regular card show. It's obviously bigger than a lot of shows, but it's not unique in the sense that if you've been to a big show before, you can kind of figure it out. If you want to know about events, I think Paul was saying earlier, not Paul, Mike. Let me go back real quick. Mike was saying here, any idea what events are going on at the same time? So Mint Inc. has a trade night. That's going to be in the same venue as the card show. There's the Jeremy Lee Worship Fest. Eric likes to go to that one with the hoods. That's very exciting. That was the one we were talking about, Arizona's. Mint Inc. has a trade night thing. There is also, there's one other thing as well. There's one other one I think that I want to call it a trade night, but it might not be a trade night. There's at least one other thing that I'm thinking about, because one of them is the Thursday. The Arizona's, I think, is Thursday. The trade night is either Friday or Saturday, and there's one other one that's either that is on whichever one of those days wasn't already covered. I forget.
Do you remember what was going on in November on like Friday or Saturday night at the International Center?
Do you remember? You're talking about outside of the trade night or separate from that?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with cards. Do you remember what was going on?
I'm sure I do if you remind me, but I'm not thinking about it.
They had a giant rave. Do you remember that? They turned one of the halls into a nightclub, and it was all you could see was the flashing lights as we're all leaving, right? Because it's November, so it's dark early. And as we're all leaving, you can see the lights just and then the boom, 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 boom. And I guess this went on until like all hours of the morning.
Well, if you're in the convention center, you can probably pull it off. I was asking about the convention center itself. No, I don't know what other shows or what other conventions are happening at the same time. There usually is at least one other one. I genuinely don't know though. I don't know if there's any other specific one happening this time around, but there usually is. To be fair,
To be fair.
thank you. Usually there is. So generally speaking, there is
Always
one
the
that's on there.
In November, there's always the Christmas show.
Yep,
in one
that's
of the
the one.
halls.
Makes sense. Okay, so here we go. All right, so real quick, we'll do this one here. I will do a community post as always for the silly card of the week. AMG, as always, supports this one. So we'll go through these. 3 different items. We'll start off here. First one is no surprise. This one's an Eric special if ever there was one. So we'll start off with this one. So here is the welcome aboard. Again, Eric is just not loving the Billy Cilio special. Eric, what's your problem with the Love Boat? Why do you hate the Love Boat?
I don't get it. Can you imagine, you work your butt off to get into the NHL or whatever professional sport, and maybe you're doing a signing, or some little kid comes up to you in a restaurant and hands you this to sign it, and because you don't get to see like what these cards look like, they don't ask you beforehand, and all of a sudden they hand you this thing with your face on it. Can you imagine what this kid's first reaction is when he gets handed?
Other than swelling with pride?
Oh my God.
Listen, Eric, it's not a food-based insert. So what are you complaining about? Honestly.
Well, I don't know. It kind of looks like a donut, but I understand it's a life raft. So they're throwing the New York Rangers a life raft. I mean, this is a life-saving device. Welcome aboard. Here's a life-saving device.
Listen, some people need a life-saving device, buddy. What are we doing? Jerk.
I just when I saw it, I said, okay, I'm taking a picture. This is definitely going in. I mean, I don't know, man.
It happens. Listen, would it make you feel better? Would it help you if you went with, for example, let's see if I can click on this here, make this work. Nope. Doesn't want to do it that way. All right. We'll do it this way. Would it make you feel better if you had a bong?
It's puffer bong.
Puffer and a bong.
Yeah, it's puffer bong. And I figured, to those who celebrate, I do not celebrate or participate.
On 420?
Yesterday was Easter, as well as the smokers' national holiday. I would share the puffer bong future star rookie card. So
now, Brandon, did you at all during the course of this, because I have seen this card before, so when you showed it, obviously I knew what you were going with this. Did it all, though, you consider, and you should have, if I was you, I would have, did you at all consider also taking into account
that they both look high? Yes.
Yeah,
I did.
Well,
yes.
I was definitely going to say that Mr. Puffer looks like that's exactly what he was doing before.
Yeah, they both look high. Yes.
They both look like they partied hard.
I mean,
partied real hard.
Mr. Puffer has a droopy right eye. He's just like.
And Mr. Bong is just like, bro, the ball is going so fast.
They partied hard, and Andrew WK wasn't involved. All I'm saying. There's a reference. Google it, kids. Anyway, moving on. All right. So here's a little bit vintage for Eric. So I have the before and the after. So we talk about how in the early 70s, listen, speaking of puffers and bongs, in the early 70s, there were a lot of drugs. And the thing is, if you pay attention, now I'll take I don't need to explain it that much, but I just need you to look at the picture on the left and the picture on the right. The picture on the left and the picture on the right. Do I really need to explain this, Eric? Like, do I have to?
They did a lot of this type of stuff where they just superimposed heads back then. Yeah,
What do you mean? This is a great Great pre-photoshopping job. Like it looks completely authentic, completely organic, nothing weird about it at all.
I think I've put on the Rogi Vachon is really the all-time best, but yeah, it's that's just what they did when someone got traded. I think Peachy did it the most because they had the the larger set and the second release and everything. And if someone got traded, they just superimposed the head on another uniform.
Hey, it was the
You
70s.
know,
It's okay. A lot of people were very high.
in today's card world, that gets a lot of people in an uproar when they do that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nowadays, definitely. Like what they did with Tom Brady.
My favorite part is they didn't even bother to airbrush the number.
Yeah,
Like they literally made no effort whatsoever to be like, nah, we're just literally
Well,
slap the head on it.
wait, they put him in a goalie uniform, and his position is defense, because literally he's got the goalie pads and everything on there.
Did I mention? Look, they took full account. Eric, this was an early 70s application of thou shalt not effort.
Yeah.
We're not even going to pretend. We don't give a shit. Isn't he a goaltender? Don't care.
Yeah,
Don't care
it's
at
a
all.
defensive position.
Yeah. 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 But yeah. Woo. Let me tell you. So there you go. These will all be put up in a community post. You may select the only true democracy in this world. Choose wisely, whatever you like. All three options will be made available to you.
And for those who might be curious, yes, that is Ken Dryden's brother, Dave. They were both goalies in the NHL.
And Swab, yep. He has no neck. That's pretty bad. Yeah, no effort was given. 8889 Peachy Gretzky would have been an airbrush, should have been an airbrush shot. Yes, yes. That was a classic. It was quite the thing, but yes. So I thought I would include that one. I had that one in my back pocket ready to go. Figured I would include that one since that was a classic, a true classic.
Yeah.
So there you go. So a couple of fun ones there for you to choose from. Some pretty good stuff. Now I'm just trying to think, was there anything else in terms of like legitimate Expo pro tips? I gave you the one about the convention center. That one is unique to this specific setup with the parking lot and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So pro tip, you either decide to get there very, very early, well, like an hour before they open and stand in line, or you choose to go late. Because what happens is, and this is no joke. So if it opens at 9 a.m., that line starts really early and it wraps around the convention center. Now think of how big the International Center is, and the line just keeps going and going and going. And it's cold in the morning. So people are standing out there for hours waiting to get in the cold, in Canada cold, in the AMs. So either you got to say, okay, I'm willing to stand in line for a long time, but I'm going to get there and be one of the first ones in. Or you got to say to yourself, I'm not going until like 11 when I can just walk up and walk in. Because if you get there at opening time, it's going to take forever for you to get in the building. It is the line. It's crazy. It makes Disney look like nothing.
How is the line? And I'm going to play segue here. How is the line compared to the Paul Skeens bobblehead line recently at the Pittsburgh Pirates games? And for you guys in the chat, if you don't know about the line and all of that, just Google it. But how would you feel if you waited in that line, that massive long ass line, for then the Pirates to release a statement saying, everybody that attended the game, if you didn't get a bobblehead, we're going to give you a voucher to redeem for one. So they didn't even need to line up in that big ass long line and wait. All they had to do was attend the game.
That is a classic issue that has come along. So it's not going to be as bad at that line. I can guarantee that. However,
that line was
the
bad.
last couple of years, though, the line has gotten a lot worse. because it used to be. So Eric's point is right. You got to make a commitment. You either choose to try to be there super early to like be like front of the line if that's what you want to do, or you say to yours, or like I said, I'm in no rush. There's no urgency for me. So I have the luxury of being able to have my lunch or brunch and kind of strolling in a couple hours in. And again, I can literally go to my buddy's booth, drop my bag down, and start walking the aisles. So if you do that and you've already got your pass, not as big a deal. But if you are someone who must be at the front of the line, you got to be there super early, you're trying to really snag the biggest deals, well, then yeah, then you're going to have to get there right away. Uh, so, real quick, I see Sadler has a good question that I want to touch on. And then also, I found what I was looking for. And I also found the floor plan. So, let me share this actually with you. So, I was trying to figure out what the thing was in between. So, let me actually share this. Okay. So on the Expo website, so I'll include the website in the description as well, since now they've started filling in the information. So under events, now you can see all the different stuff. There's the main stage schedule for stuff they're going to do in the main stage, which is great. eBay booth is going to have some stuff going on, which is great. The redemption of our upper deck, if you want. The hobby social night is the one that's on Thursday. That's the one that's at Arizona's. That's the Jeremy Lee special. Again, I'll refrain from jokes, floating head. But that's the Thursday one. But then here on Friday, there's a VIP Expo after party on Friday from 7 to 10. So Slab Sharks is sponsoring it. So that's one of the events. So that one is there on April 25th, 7 to 10. That is on site. That one is right there in the same venue at the end of the regular show day. There's still stuff going on there. That's where they're going to have a DJ. That's where Eric would have been with his, hanging out with his rave buddies. Very exciting.
Yes.
So that's the Friday. And then the trade night is the Saturday. So on Saturday, they've got a trade night from Mint Inc. So that's the one I was referring to with the Mint Inc. So I wanted to get the order and the sequencing right. So Saturday is the Mint Inc. They've got the trade night after party there. Again, live DJ and breaks, cash bar, etc. But that one is starting at 6 o'clock. So there is something on Friday. There's something on Thursday. There's something on Friday. And there's something on Saturday. So they've got something all 3 nights included in there. All the information is actually on the website now. So they have actually included that on there, which is great. And then under the dealer section here, you can actually see the floor plan as well. So I'll switch tabs here so I can share that with you. But I'll actually do a quick run through just so you can see what it looks like. And then I'll get the Saddler's question because I think it's a good question. But let me quickly touch on this. All right, here's your floor plan. So we've got it. We've got 3 different halls we're using this time around. Hall 2, Hall 3, Hall 4. So for those familiar from the past, Hall 2 is going to be your main one where the majority of your action is going to be. There's a lot of booths, but you're looking at big landmarks. You got your upper deck booth is going to take up a nice chunk of space there. CSC Marketplace has more booths inside of it. You got a big old Beckett booth. You got the PSA section up here. Fanatics Collect is up here in the corner of Hall 3. That's another one that's going to be on there. Pather is this big one in the middle with beside eBay and Slab Sharks.
Look at them.
Both of those are beside the food court. So food court is going to be right there. The autograph pavilion is over in Hall 4, but there are a bunch of booths near Hall 4. So you got that section there. So you can basically use a bunch of these landmarks. If you're new to the expo and you've never been, what I would recommend, so this would be my recommendation to you. Here's your pro tip. Start the first day getting yourself situated with the landmarks. Because if you know where so a lot of times, I'm going to be very honest with you, even in the amount of years that I've been doing this, I don't pay super close attention to booth numbers. I know them, but I don't pay attention to them. I honestly don't. But if I need to find something, I know all the landmarks. I know where CSC is over in the corner. The food court is across from it in that area, but it's over on the edge of the wall. Pather is across from that. Slab Sharks across from. So if I need to find something, I probably know it in relation to one of the other major landmarks, because some of these booths are taking up so much space that as soon as you know where that booth is, you can literally make a beeline for it, and then you already know north, east, southwest. If you have no sense of direction, then you're going to have to really pay attention. But if you do have a sense of direction, it's easier. Go ahead, Brandon.
There's a company missing on the map that I thought would like have a big space. Are they merging with the other company that's taking submissions for them?
You talking about SGC?
No, it's
No,
talking
tag.
Oh, tag.
They're
They're
not
probably
on
hiding
that.
in this.
They're
They're
not.
probably
They
hiding in the Slab
disappeared.
Sharks booth. They're probably hiding
That's
near
why
the
I was
Slab Sharks booth.
wondering if they're just doing it there.
Yeah, and look, as much as I like to make fun of them, and Lord knows I do, no one gives a shit. No one gives a flying fuck about tag.
I just noticed because like they would always
Yeah,
be over there in
if they
that
want to
big
if they want to
booth,
waste
and
money on the booth, they're welcome to throw money into
and
the garbage
what
disposal.
the hell is
They're welcome.
Beckett doing with that much space? Are they
Yeah,
like
here we
gonna
go.
have
Submissions
cots
to
for
Slab Sharks. Yeah. Beckett has big dreams.
That's a big booth.
It is. Look, to put it into perspective, PSA's booth is smaller by comparison because they're predominantly submissions. Beckett has dream. I think Beckett is doing raw card grading. They might even be doing on-site grading this time around. Who knows? Again, no one will care, but they're trying. Listen, they got to pay Eric's salary in this booth. That's like the majority of the expenditures for this year. That's it.
And I'm sure KSA is probably going to be encapsulating cards like always. And
Oh, they totally. Well, the thing is though, for KSA's thing, they're fine. Like where they are right here, and Mint will also probably be doing on site. So these two guys will be fine. They're both all right. CGC is right beside them. So like it's all conveniently located across from each other. But look, here's another pro tip for you if you want. KD Collectibles, that's right across from PSA. KD Collectibles also takes PSA submissions. So you can literally go to the PSA booth and do directly. You can do it through KD. I know Luke will be around taking submissions. All the partners of PSA in Canada that take the submissions will literally walk it over to the PSA booth for you. And a lot of times they're very competitive on pricing. Brandon, this may be a weird thing to say, and I'm just saying truthfully. Again, full disclosure, I have very good friends on the PSA side, including the person in charge of the Canadian PSA side. The last time I needed to submit cards, he basically said, hand it over to Luke and Luke will take care of it for you. I didn't go to the PSA booth. Luke literally took it over, and Luke was actually able to give me a better price than PSA proper.
Yeah.
So, like, again, they're partner dealers that are part, but I'm still getting it done to PSA, and it still got submitted, and I still paid for it, whatever. I paid for my service. But the point is, Luke was able to take it from me. He quoted me the price, walked it right over, got to make sure both on-site and regular submission for the fall expo. In this case, for the spring, there is no on-site. For the spring, it's submission. So you can give it to any of the authorized dealers that can do it, and they will be able to take care of it for you. Double check your pricing, make sure you're happy with it and all that. But yeah, you can do it. No, and if you want to just walk it to the booth yourself, you certainly can, but it's going to wind up in the same place.
It's just like Chantilly when SGC sets up there. But like when James Gillum comes down and stays, if he has stuff he wants to submit, he just gives them to me because I'm cheaper than him giving them to SGC. So
exactly. Precisely.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You can totally take advantage of that if you'd like. But again, if you prefer going from point A to point B, you can literally get in line and walk it into the PSA booth itself. They are right there. You can do that. ComC is there for the booth, right beside Pristine and right beside Golan. So they're all in a row, all those three. ComC is good for the submissions. ComC is literally right across from eBay. So where eBay is, ComC is right across from them. That's where I drop off my ComC submission stuff, where I drop off stuff that I end up putting in my ComC account to sell. That's what I do. That's me. To each their own. And Mike was saying here, submissions through Slab Sharks for tag. So that's the answer. Tag, the tag Canadian office is the same as the Slab Sharks office. Scandalous. It's true. Like I'm not. That's actually what it is. The address is the same unit.
I mean, it's just. I don't know if it's scandalous, but it does. It's like they're not
scandalous.
They're not like being super open and clear that there's this major connection there. And yes, Paul, exactly. F them. Oh God, F them.
So let me quickly answer Sadler fans' question here. What's the general range for value pricing of merchandise? Lots of high-end, middle-of-the-road, dollar box everywhere, some kind of mix. Definitely a mix. 100% a mix. There are dealers who are excellent at having value boxes. There are dollar boxes out there, but there are definitely also $5 and $10 boxes for sure. So you do have a nice mix. Yes, 100%. Some of the dealers are much better about it than others. A lot of the smaller dealers are very good about having boxes like that because they understand, hey, that's business, good business. But some of the dealers, even in their quote unquote boxes, have stuff approaching $100 and above. So some of them do, in fact, have that. But that can be a good way. So I'll use an example that Eric knows about that we were talking about. We were at a booth where I saw a Medano SPX out of 10 from the early 2000s. That was in a Medano column of a box.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a value box, but I definitely consider it a box that he had different boxes. He had a Burdure box. He had a Medano box. He had this, that, he had that. But there was some good stuff in there. So it wasn't a value box. I can't call sticker prices approaching or above $100 a value box. But they also had $5 cards in the same row. So like it was a mix. It was all over the map. I don't know why you wouldn't have mixed that in with some of the other stuff, but it was there. So you can totally get dollar boxes. You can totally get $5, $10, $20 boxes. And some dealers go in a different direction, but there's definitely stuff there. Yes, 100%. I just want to make sure I cover that.
There's everything you could imagine at that show. If you're there to collect hockey, it's there. You just got to find it. It's there.
Yep. And this is definitely a good pro tip here. Booth numbers are written on the floor. I wish they would put it on the booths themselves. At one time they used to do it, but that is correct. They do put it on the booth there. That's why I made the recommendation about taking advantage of the bigger booth setups as landmarks. Because if you already know, so for example, give you a simple example. Let's say, so right now I'm looking at the map here. Where PSA is and Fanatics is, the booths across from them are like in 32 and 3,300. So those are the booth numbers. So you tell me, hey, Carlos, I want to find booth 3202. I'm just giving you an example, random number. I would say to you, okay, go to where PSA and Fanatics are, and you're going to pass that booth in order to get there. That's what I would do. I would, instead of giving you turn by turn directions to booth number, I would say go in a straight line towards PSA and Fanatics Collect, because you're going to pass 3202 on the way there. They're literally right across from it. That little section there. That's how you do it. That is how you would do it. Because rather than try to remember individual booth numbers, it's too hard. Like if you can, bless you. But yes, they do put it on underneath the tables. Some of the little covers they put though, sometimes covered up, but you can see them. If you can you can look around. I would recommend, if you're someone who's around for the weekend, Thursday is much better for that because it's easier maneuvering with less people around.
Oh yeah.
Way easier. You get a chance to take a look. You can follow and figure out the booth numbers and situate. But if you know what the big booths are, again, similar example. You want to find booth 4604, you're right across from Beckett. Beckett has a big old gigantic presence, the big old section there. Well, guess what? Go find Beckett. By the way, Beckett is right beside the bathroom. Appropriate. Jokes. Thinking jokes. Not saying it, but I'm saying I'm thinking jokes. Right beside bathroom area, big gigantic Beckett booth. Well, the 4400s are right across from it. Literally right across from it. So you're already right there. You go to that section, you've made your life a lot easier. You didn't have to go booth by booth, number by number. Look for the big landmarks because there's some big ones that make your life a lot easier to find.
And it looks like, no, I only looked briefly, but this setup, this spring setup looks very, very similar to the fall setup, where the fall setup was confusing for a lot of people because it had never been, in that configuration before. So, I mean, I wasn't the only one that was getting kind of discombobulated, a little lost in the beginning. I mean, by Sunday you had it all figured out and then it was time to leave, right? But I think it's, if they're going to continue having this configuration for the foreseeable future, and a lot of the big brand name places are going to be in the same spots year after year, show after show, that's definitely going to make it easier for people who go on the regular, because they're going to know, what's over by the PSA table, what's over by Upper Deck, what's over by, classic auctions, the food court, whatever. It makes it easier if you know that the guy that you bought from last year is going to be in the same spot, and it's 2 rows to the left from the upper deck, setup. You can go right back to him. So
There's
I just
rumors.
don't. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's rumor that if you ever want to find Eric, he hangs out near the janitor closet.
Facts. It's true. Optics mean nothing. Fools will still pay. In reference to the Slap Sharks tag connection, yes. Been there 6 times at least. Had no idea booth numbers were on the floor. Yeah, well, that's what I say. So I'm being serious. That's the reason why. Look, I have a lot of fun with a lot of these things and a lot of the show coverage. The Expo is one where I can offer a lot. Look, I can seriously more than 5% more mature here. I know the damn show inside out, like in my back pocket. I don't need to sit there and ask Menzie how everything goes. I take one look at the floor plan and I can immediately visualize it, and I know what it's going to look like, because I have been to every single hall of the International Center over the last almost 30 years. I've seen almost every configuration that's been tried, every section of halls, hall 2, hall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the halls, all the configurations, all the formats they've tried, I've seen them at least once, all of them. So at a certain point, like you get very comfortable with it. So for me, I generally, it takes me about 20 minutes, half an hour in the first day to get reoriented. As soon as I've got my direction, I'm there. I'm good for the rest of the show. But if you're new to it, then yeah, it's going to be very confusing. That's why I recommend the landmark thing. That'll save you so much headache. The landmark thing will make your life a lot easier. You don't have to memorize numbers if you want to. You can find numbers. So that is helpful. Dan says Beckett's still like this, allegedly, and in Eric's heart.
Yeah.
Yep. Shit, he's inside the janitor class 90% of the time with the 10% margin for error.
That is called the autograph pavilion, not the janitor closet.
Oh, I feel like considering a lot of the athletes, some of these hockey's players.
And
are you sure they're not the? Listen, do we need to talk about Peter Forsberg? Because I feel the connection to the janitors is a lot closer than you want to let on.
I spend all day Saturday and Sunday in the autograph pavilion with the athletes, having a great time, and I spend Thursday and Friday on the show floor.
Well, Eric, it is very nice of you to say that janitors are athletes too. That is very nice of you.
Can I make an Expo request?
Please do.
If anybody comes across any, like the E-Exceptional or any of the parallel, like I have the out of 10, so I'm not really looking for that one. But if anybody sees an E-Exceptional Jason Robertson at the show, could you please let me know? I don't know if the product has just died and people aren't opening it like we've discussed, or what's going on, but there's hardly any hitting eBay. And I've been trying to keep my eye out for one of them. So if one happens to be in a case, let me know.
If it exists, it's there. It's just got to be found.
Yeah, we'll take a look. Good call out.
The product may not be opened enough for one to pop up yet. I don't know.
It's been bad. We've joked about it, but
not much.
I still haven't seen the autographics. I still haven't seen the autographics Medano.
There's not been much of Ottinger hit. Like it's really been very low quantity of stuff hitting, and the product's been out what, month and a half, probably 2 months.
Yeah. Well, look, normally, if in the first couple of weeks you haven't seen it, it tends to dry up right after that because other products come out. So at this point, it's here's what I'll be curious about. My curiosity. I'll be curious to see what the price point is on the show floor. People that put out the product, like what kind of price point are they looking at? Do they start discounting it to try to move it? Is it finally something where they're like, all right, let me just get rid of it? And let's see if we can move it on. Again,
Yeah.
we'll see. Your mileage may vary, but I'm going to check it out for sure. I'll look into it. So real quick, I had this one kind of forwarded to me, and Dan is asking the pertinent question: why did they send the private jet to bring Eric to Toronto? Listen, private jet is a thing. So here is your on-site pricing for Beckett. This is why Eric spared no expense. Only $125 for 1 to 4 cards, $100 for 5 cards plus. These are all US dollars, by the way. They put the Canadian ones in brackets.
$25 for a raw card review.
Yeah, this is US dollars, by the way.
Wait.
Because if you notice, the Canadian's in brackets underneath. By the way, raw card review, for some reason, is cheaper in Canadian than US. Eric, what kind of maths is that?
Wait.
What is raw graded card review? Like
you're reviewing a graded card to see if it'll cross. They're charging you to see if a graded card would cross.
Yeah, and it's cheaper in Canadian. So just cash in
for reasons that cannot be explained. Yes.
And so the raw card review
and flip the numbers.
Wow, 22 to 25 is still pretty good, man.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's just Beckett is so freaking bad. Like, no one checks this stuff.
And then if you allow them to take it back and grade it, they'll give you 10% off. Okay.
Yep. A whole 10% off, man. Bargain. Hashtag bargain.
Normally, yeah, I mean, I guess that works for them. Like, give a little promotion there for take home, but normally they don't discount the take homes.
I don't know. Eric, you're going to have to get your guys' act together, man. Like, what are we doing?
God, the place is such a dumpster fire.
I also liked the 2 cards that they showed were Black Label.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much.
So we flipped that up on the screen. We all noticed it. All 3 of us noticed it instantly. Yet their people wrote this, posted it. It's been up for however long. Nothing.
Maybe it's correct, Eric. That one they just add like tariffs or something onto it.
Oh my!
For the US dollar.
Sure.
Maybe it's correct.
Wait, hold on.
So bad. I mean,
so in addition to obviously all the different signers they've got for the Expo, and by the way, they've got a pretty healthy group of signers. Like, there's quite a number.
Really, really good.
I was actually very impressed with the sheer number of signers they've got. Yeah. They got old hacksaw Jim Duggan if you enjoy some wrestling. They've got that on there. But on Sunday, you can get autographs from Andy Van Hellemond.
Ooh, Eric.
Do you know who Andy Van Hellemond is?
Yes,
I do. PC for Eric.
I don't think I'm going to start collecting referee autos, but that's fine.
Listen, he might be an SB Signature legend at this point.
He might be. I mean,
Brandon, I'm not collecting an autograph of a referee.
I just like the Hellman's reference.
Van Hellemond, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it isn't like it's Kerry Frazier who had the greatest referee hair of all time. You know, Kerry Frazier.
You know what the best part is, Eric? Eric, you want to know what tells us we're in the year 2025 of our Lord?
What's that?
The referee auto is $20. $20?
I don't want Andy Van Hellemond's autograph. Paul Stewart does shows around here all the time, and people actually do sign up to get. Now, he used to play for the Nordiques too, right? And, you know, there's a couple of 8x10s of him fighting guys, and because he was an enforcer and stuff. So it's like, okay, fine. But I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay. So listen, I was morbidly curious because I mentioned earlier that they had that main stage schedule. All right. Y'all want to know what's going to be on the main stage?
Interviews with the autograph guests, I would assume.
Somewhat, yes. There is some of that. But
yes.
I think we can do better, Eric. I think there's more.
I
don't think we can just...
Party? Is
listen,
there karaoke?
We need to have market insights with the hobby's top influencers. We've got that.
Yes. Okay.
Brandon, I think we need to find out who the hobby's top influencers are. I think we need to find out. Hold on. Let's find out. Let's look at the schedule for the main stage. We're going to start on Thursday. This is VIP night. Of course, Steve Menzies will welcome us to the show. Welcome to WrestleMania. Never mind. Sorry. So anyway, on Thursday, we'll have the Hobby Pulse, Market Insights with the hobby's top influencers. Moderated by Jeremy Lee of Sports Card Live, of course. With Josh from the Hockey Card Gong Show, of course. Mojo Sports, exciting. Kyle Kravitz, King of the Cards. By the way, King of the Cards, I actually do enjoy watching some of his videos. I think they're decent. And then we got Coach Co. There's Thursday. Very exciting. The kids giveaway on Friday. Q&A with Eric Lindros. Moderated by Jeremy Lee, Sports Card Live. Eric has also had a lot of concussions. Funny that Eric has had a lot of concussions and this Eric has had a lot of concussions.
I have had a lot of concussions.
Intriguing. Moving on. Then 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Friday, Brandon. This is exciting right here. Creating the hobby. Content that connects. Yes. Yes. All right. We got North of the Border Cards, Eli Newstrom. We got Dr. Collectible, of course. Listen. Yes. Candice Marino of Press Pass Breaks and Roth Cards. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's almost too much. It really is almost too much, Eric.
Almost.
It's almost. Then you got a Q&A with Dennis Hexel. Good.
Moderated by who? Wait a minute. Hold on.
By Josh. It says Josh Sports Card Live, but he's supposed to be Hockey Card Gong Show. No.
Love to say no, that's not right, but okay.
Yeah. Then you got a bunch of Q&As, blah, blah, blah. Pretty generic stuff, whatever. Okay, here we go. Hobby Talk. The real, the random, and the ridiculous. Wait a minute. Random? Brandon, this is our shtick.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm suing these sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suing their asses. It's going to happen. Wow. Moderated by Coach Co, Dr. Collectible, Josh, Hockey Card Show, Josh, Roth Cards. Like, it's the same people recycled over and over again.
Group. Okay, go ahead.
Great. Q&A with Mike Richter. More stuff on Sunday now. Q&A with Mark Giordano. Q&A with Ray Borg. Moderated by Jeremy Lee. Ray Borg will bite people and then become zombies. Great. Very exciting.
No, he will not.
Then on Sunday, the Hobby Experience, Adventures, Lessons, and Communities. Totally different names. Moderated by Ben Carlos. Listen, I would never trust anyone with the name Carlos.
I was about to say that.
Sons of bitches. Then North of the Border Cards again. Candice Marino, Press Pass Breaks again. Dr. Collectible again. And Mojo Sports again. Guys, do we have to have one panel with the same people every single day?
What's interesting
You swap out one person, change the host, and you call it different?
A couple of the folks there, I don't know that I've ever seen them mention a hockey card. Now, I know the show isn't just hockey.
Yep.
But even the Q&A panels, that was all hockey players. So the show is hockey focused. And you have two guys in several of the panels who I have never seen mention or speak of a hockey card.
A bit rough. I don't know what to tell you. Dan says no Geoff in the influencer panel. So Geoff has been to the Toronto Expo before. If he was at the Toronto Expo, I guarantee you he would have made it onto one of those panels. Guaranteed. 1,000%. But he's not there for currently. Right now, Mojo and apparently Roth are coming over, so that's why they're getting on the list. Coach Co, best on the list, no chance. I don't have a problem with Coach Co, but he's not the best on the list. Hey, look, I'll make fun of a lot of these different folks because honestly, I've watched some of their stuff and some of it is horrifically cringeworthy. If we're talking about best on that list, based on, I'm grading on a curve, but based on this list, I would say King of the Cards because he's actually talked up the Toronto Expo on his own content and other shows. So, like, I've actually watched some videos where he's actually talked up the Toronto Expo on his own time, on his own channel with his own thing at other card shows. So, in my opinion, so I'm just speaking this, my point, Eric, if you are actually promoting the Toronto Expo on your own thing, not related to the Toronto Expo, not in the immediate coming up next, you're probably more into the show than some of these other guys who are kind of just invited and they're just meeting their obligation. That's just me. That's the angle that I would take on it.
I could see that. That makes sense to say.
Yeah. And Coach Co, I don't have a problem with the guy. I've seen him around. Like, he's very enthusiastic. He's like, but I'm like, meh. Like, his stuff does nothing for me. It's very generic. But, you know, he's enthusiastic, so I'll give him that much. But, like, the next interesting thing he says will be the first interesting thing he's ever said.
I know who he is. I don't think I've met him. So
the problem is if your head is at full length, you might not be able to see him. I tease, but it's true. But I tease, but it's true. Both things can be true. Both things can be true. Gonna be Rage. Yep. Was awesome finally meeting Eric at Shriners. Cool dude. Settle down. You didn't meet real Eric.
No, it was yeah. No, it
was that a show or the Shriners Hospital?
Yes. The answer is yes.
It was nice to run into him. It was good to see you. Hope you had a good time.
There you go. Did you sign an autograph for him?
No, that'd be silly.
No, you should have signed an autograph for him and inscribed it Infinite Rage.
No.
Exclamation point.
No, that's just
saying. Did Menzie get Dr. Collectible to go to Strongsville? No. No Dr. Collectible Strongsville. That's right, Dan. That's right. But yeah, so like I said, what's funny is that I always have, Brandon, I always find myself in this awkward place when it comes to the Canadian influencers, because it's always like, oh, no, I'm not picking on them for the sake of picking on them. I'm just saying, like, I watch their stuff. I've seen some of it, and a lot of it is very generic. And unfortunately, we're in a CanCon world. We're like, it's like we're mandatory required. It's like, oh, but you have to support. No, I don't. Some of it's just not very good. Like, if it's good, I'll say it's good. If it's just there, I would give them a good solid 6 out of 10.
So you're putting them a touch above average. See, you are a man of peace. You're not.
I am a man of peace.
You're not even going
mid.
Isn't that what the cool kids say? Mid.
Man of peace.
You didn't even go
Truly
mid.
A man of peace.
You went a step above
six
mid.
Out of 10. That's a passing grade right there. That's
a passing grade. Eric, I'm not taking a shot at Coach Ho, because if he snuck up on me, I wouldn't be able to see him coming.
Serious question, because is he the one that had like the curly mustache?
The mustache, yeah, the mustache.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that I've watched much or.
It's a Mario.
Didn't he used to like do a show or something with somebody?
Yeah, he did it with what's his name? Shoot. It was the one who wore the glasses. Shoot.
As 3 people on the screen.
Cartel. Sports Car Cartel.
I thought at one time he like had a show or something he did with.
Well, he might have had enough. He actually tried a couple different ones. Yeah, Sports Car Cartel. That's the one I was thinking of. And I've chatted with Sports Car Cartel. So look, quick behind the curtains thing. I enjoy it very much. And it's kind of fun because obviously in the US, you've got your version of it. But in the Canadian market, because it's a smaller population base to start, right? And then in Ontario, our population is so concentrated in Ontario. So think not only a smaller population base, but also Ontario is a smaller population base. Okay? So it's an important distinction here. I'm just giving a little context here, Eric. The thing is, because of that, it means the hobby circular is actually very small. It's a small world. So you're going to run into a lot of these people. I've run into Cartel at some of those card shows. When I was setting up with Bobby at that card show where we sat up at a table, Cartel was there just across from us down there. And we had a quick chat with him. Most of these people I've had chats with, and most of the time it's fine, decent chats. And he likes to set up with Hit 'em High Sports Cards. Josh, that guy. And again, I've had dealings with him, and he's a decent enough dude, and I have no problem with him. I struggle, though, with Canadian influencers, with our version of the Canadian sports card influencers, because a lot of times it's just trying to piggyback off of the US side of things, which is fine because you're out there networking, you're doing that part of it. But then I also look at where you're doing. I have to measure what you're doing based on what it is. That's why I say, like, I can say 2 things. In any dealings, directly or inadvertently with it, no issue with the guy. But at the same time, I've also watched the content, and I'm not super impressed. Both these things can be true. I have no reason to have an issue with him personally because I haven't dealt with him enough personally to have formed an opinion of him personally. But I can also look at the content and go, like, it's okay. I enjoyed TikTok dances by Dr. Collectible Strongsville. Yes. Well, Paul, don't you have that other one? There was like that kid who had like a whole moniker, a whole shtick that Paul was obsessed with. The name is escaping me right now. Paul knows what I'm talking about. He was specifically, there was a kid who was doing a whole bit and he had a whole shtick, like he had his whole nickname and everything. The name totally escaping me. But Paul literally mentioned him a bunch of times and I just like sitting there like, interesting. Okay, sure. Listen, the influencer world is weird, man. I'll just say this. The influencer world is weird. It's weird shit. I'm sitting there like, okay.
How that guy?
Oh yeah, Eric Sanderson, weird bastard. I don't even know what to deal with him.
It was even
and again.
Speaking of the influencer thing, someone in last week's episode left a comment about being influenced, and I'm pretty sure it's Eric's fault. So you're right.
I don't want to influence anybody. Nobody should be listening to me.
I'm pretty sure it was the last episode. There was a comment about being influenced.
Nobody should be influenced by me. That's ridiculous. Shame on you.
I'm taking a look right now. Maybe. Let's see.
Come on, grow up.
Was it the podcast episode or was it the live? Because I'm just
looking podcast episode.
Zach here.
If it wasn't if it wasn't the last episode, it was the one before.
No, nobody should be influenced by me. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe if you had used your influencer powers for good instead of for evil, you could have been on a panel. By the way, I also want to acknowledge Refractor Jones had a comment from last week's episode. It says Eric has a point about the show. If you're a vendor, you should be obligated to stay for the entire show. What a promoter could do is to offer a last day rate. I know we talked about it, but I just want to make sure I acknowledge it here as well. Free entry of the last day would generate more bodies and equal more sales the previous 2 days of the show, which I agree. I think that's fair. Some fair points. Fair points.
Yeah,
too late now. I'm obsessed with the fake activity of biking. Exactly. You influencing bastard.
Ugh.
It was the hockey's episode, so it was the one.
Oh, the hockey's episode. Okay.
Mike, you have good health insurance.
Mike, I'm gonna mispronounce the last name, but Mike G1138. You guys,
Guanchi.
I didn't want to butcher it. You guys just influenced me to corner the 52 Tops Gus Zernial market, and thanks, Eric, for the hashtag invest and like button donations. There you go.
Love it.
Hashtag influencer.
Facts.
Shame on anyone who listens to anything I have to say. Shame.
Not my fault. At some point, it became obvious that precious metal gents were influencers. Guy pumped up high-end 90 stuff, then went to go sell a bunch. Yeah, he bought bigger stuff, but still was weird. Yeah, they had a whole podcast about it. It's true. Dan here says, there are no panel influencers in Strongville. Probably coming next year as the show blows up. Well, hold on. Normally, Brandon, this might be historic. Normally, we only do it once. However, to be fair. Thank you. There weren't panels or influencers per se. However, there was a Mike baseball collector in Chris from Missouri competition, which one could argue is a bit of a panel. It's a specific piece of programming created with an audience, where they participated in it and had. So are we sure that that's not panelish?
And there were definitely influencers at the show who have YouTubes and the social medias. And I wouldn't be surprised if that type of person would be doing a panel next year at Strongville, since he is so heavily included in the vintage.
Well, not only that, if that wasn't enough. So this was the one I was looking for here. Paul was saying the Blake down. So Brandon, Paul told me about this friggin' Blake down kid. I had no idea who the hell he was talking about. Like, I genuinely know until after the expo. And then suddenly I see this shit. I'm like, The machines are listening. They know things.
Yeah.
I've never had any idea. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Like he was explaining the breakdown. I'm like, I don't know who this is. I have no idea.
I got a connection to that stuff, and I just stay away.
Have you ever thought about something and then it shows up on an ad on like YouTube or Facebook or something? That's where it really gets me, because it's like, I didn't say this. I didn't look this up. I didn't Google it. I only thought about it. Why in the hell why did it know this?
The machines are reading our minds now. Dan says things are happening, but not for Expo. Dan, why not? Listen, 4 collectors has already become 5 collectors, 6 collectors, 457 collectors. At a certain point, you may have collectors divisions. It may be 4 collectors per region. Like it just grows constantly.
Dan, when are we gonna? When it's certain people who treat you with nothing but respect, of course, going to be invited to be like the 7th collector, so be the vintage hockey expert.
You're not a vintage hockey expert. I'm gonna hyperventilate. It's getting bad. It's getting bad out here.
Is that why you were reading all those books?
Eric, I don't even fucking like vintage hockeys, and I might have forgotten more vintage hockeys than you know.
But he was reading the books. I mean, he got the education.
Right here that says everything's O-Peachy.
Yeah.
I
He
got
even shared it with us. I mean,
got
he
another book
learned.
that says True Rookie Cards. What else do I got?
Sadler, you got to be careful. You don't want to go full Ted DiBiase all the time. You got to time it out. Sometimes you got to do it yourself from the gut. And then Ted will show up when he shows up. All I'm saying. Ted will show up when he shows up. You don't want to look. We were already dangerous with the 2B FAIR. We already used it twice. Let's be careful. It must be used judiciously. But yes. So that was pretty good. There was one more thing I wanted to make sure I grabbed. By the way, if there's anything you guys want to chat on, we'll go a couple more minutes and then we'll call it a night. It's been good. Had a lot of fun. It's actually worked out quite nice. And we were actually able to give some legitimate pro tips for the expo. So those of you who are coming, hopefully you enjoy it. Name, we were kind of alluding to during the live, is actually going to make it down for a very first expo. So it's actually going to be kind of exciting to get his perspective as a first-time expo goer, because he's been to his share of shows around Western Canada and around there, but he hasn't made it down to an expo. So that'll be a first opportunity. So we'll see if we can chronicle that. My plan, I've already charged up my batteries on the camera, got that fired up. So the plan, so real quick, I'll lay it down the basics. The plan is going to be to have some videos for the expo for sure. The live stream, the plan is to have one during the expo week. That's the intention. However, it's really going to come down to how the Wi-Fi in the hotel holds up. I'm not staying at my usual hotel, so I don't know how that's going to work. I have to try it. The only way I'm going to find out is if I try it. However, that's what's going to be next is I'll check it out, and that'll start on Thursday. I'll look into it. But there will be, either way, there'll be uploads from the expo as stuff happens. I will record one video on the channel probably tomorrow, which will give a basic breakdown of what my plans are in terms of what I'm going to do. Some of it is obvious, but we'll see how it sets up. And that'll be one thing for sure. But yeah, there'll be definitely an expo coverage like Shark Week, but later. 100%. The regular Friday episode may not happen on Friday. We'll see. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And if it does, it'll probably be truncated. I can almost guarantee it'll be truncated compared to normal. So it won't be part of the regular count. Like, you know, like how if you check out the episode title, it's 125 for the BIC. The next live stream won't be part of the regular count if it's off schedule. And then the following week, we'll be back to normal schedule. But we still had a live stream this week, and we'll probably have another one this week, most likely. That's what I'll throw out there. And you never know. Listen, if we really get it done, maybe we'll have Amanda. Maybe we'll have a name. We'll see. Who knows? Might get that done. Or at least a video, if not a live stream. But everything's dependent on the schedule. We'll see how it goes. First time Expo guy here. That's right. Pepino Man has been absent lately. Cesar is incredibly entertaining. Be on soon. I have no doubt. When I walk in, it's going to be like that scene in Rudy, where his dad walks up to Notre Dame football stadium. It's the most beautiful sight these eyes have ever seen. Especially Sans Eric. Very exciting.
No, he's the reason I'm not going. I won't. I'm not going if he's going.
And you're the reason he is going. Yes, this is the reason he is going.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
It's all fair.
It's all
fair
true.
Or I don't care.
So, Brandon, listen, when can we get you to smuggle yourself across the border? So, when are you coming down? Let's go.
I told y'all I'm hoping to make the fall.
All right. Just
Spring
making
is
sure.
my busy time. So, and also with Eric, telling me I should hire a lawyer and all the stuff with the wife's work transferring over. It's probably not the best time anyway, but things are going well there. So,
Lawyer.
Listen, all I have to say,
she's actually she's not been stressed like she was, and she says she's enjoying it. Her boss is nice, and things are seeming to be going pretty well. So it might have been a blessing.
Lawyer.
a blessing in disguise. Yes, yes.
She's
And
doing
as
the
Eric
same
said-
thing she was, just in a different region. So
Yeah. Well, and as Eric says, he wants us to sue him because he wants to use a lawyer. That's what I heard. It's probably just as well, though, Brandon, if we're going to be completely honest, because given, like I said, what I said is that my understanding is on Sunday, Zombie Ray Borg may try to kill us all.
ooh, yeah.
Might be a
I'm a
problem.
fan of Walking Dead, but I don't want to experience it.
Yeah. So now you all know if you're worried about that, Zombie Ray Borg's there from 12:45 to 12:55. A whole 10 minutes? A Q&A
Yeah, I
of 10
noticed that,
minutes?
but I wasn't going to
What
say
worthless
anything.
bullshit is
They're all
that?
10 minutes.
I've tried to tell you.
That's
Ray-
worthless.
Ray is a great guy, but he's really kind of shy.
No,
Eric, they're all
of the
10
segments
minutes.
are 10 minutes.
Mark
Oh.
Giordano, Mike Richter, they're all 10 minutes. What's the point? What's the Q&A of 10 minutes worth?
I don't know, but you're not going to get him out there all day to talk. That's for damn sure.
Tell us the meaning of life, you fucker.
Not happening. I'm surprised he agreed to 10 minutes. I really am surprised that somehow he agreed to that.
Good Lord. It's worse than I thought. 10 minutes. Jesus. Lame. Listen, Paul Henderson did 15 minutes. You lazy bastards. So did Wendell Clark. 15 minutes. Jerks.
Both of them bigger in Canada, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Wendell Clark is an all-time great for Toronto, and Paul Henderson is a national hero. So they get 15 minutes.
Indeed. So it would appear. Oh, well. Let's see here. All right. Any last questions or thoughts? And then we'll wind her down on that. I'll talk a little bit more about some pickups and things because I do have some stuff that is starting to come in. Unfortunately, it is kind of sitting at Ship My Cards. I will probably get that done. Ship My Cards will be bringing some cards in for Expo. So that's part of what's going to be exciting for me. Some cards are going to be coming in. So regardless, I've already got some pickups ready to go. So there's going to be that aspect of it. And then also there's going to be one deal that I may have already set up. So that's going to be fun. So we're definitely going to have some fun with that. And that'll be kind of what I'm looking forward to this week. I will say, though, having the kind of, all right, I'm off work, then I'll be on work a couple of days, then I'll be off work again. It's always kind of weird midweek just to be like, all right, click on and then click off. Very strange.
Yeah,
very
humans
strange.
do better when we're on schedules, and when that schedule gets disrupted, whether it be for fun or not, it messes up the clock and the internal clock.
So all over the place is wild. The good news, though, is that, like I said, it does give me at least a couple more days to finish setting everything up. I think more or less everything is good. So I think we've got that figured out. Got a little budget going forward, so I think that'll be fun. And then we'll figure it out going from there. And then Brandon, as he said, we'll see if we can look out for some of those EX cards because apparently they're not coming up. So we'll see if anybody else opened up anything and if they wind up with an Expo. Any other requests for Expo, Eric? Jars of mayonnaise, like anything else we need for you?
Like I said on Friday, I am looking for the Toronto Maple Leafs ashtray. And for if somehow, some way, there's a California Golden Seals ashtray, I need them both. But there should be a Maple Leafs ashtray somewhere. You may not find the Golden Seals, but should be able to get a Maple Leafs ashtray.
Wow.
So if anyone sees one, grab it.
Amazing. So my only request then as we take off is hit the like button on the way out so Eric pays for it. Very important. Super important. Hit like button on the way out. Also, other videos will come up on the channel. The live streams will be back on normal schedule next week. The rest of this week will be kind of playing it by ear. However, I will make a community post on there. In addition to the silly card of the week, I will make a community post as I figure out what the schedule looks like for videos or lives. If I do manage to do one more live before the end of the week, then I'll make sure I include that on there. It'll either be before the end of the weekend for Expo, or I may just do a thing on Sunday just to kind of summarize. We'll see. We'll see how I kind of play by ear based on that. And then next week's podcast episode and everything will be kind of a decompress on how the Expo went. So looking forward to that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So right now we'll take off. And right now, Montreal and Washington are tied at 2. We've got that in overtime. So that has gone to overtime. And now we will have the Dallas, Colorado are still tied at 0 and through the first period.
Colorado scored.
Oh, so NHL hasn't updated yet?
Yeah, it's 1-0.
1-0. We're doomed. Doomed. Terrible. Well, that's it. For Eric Sanderson to war, hit the like button so he pays for it. Brandon Bobbles and Ball Cards. Known associate of 540 Flips, except he brutally murdered him previously. It's very sad.
I actually am thinking about murdering the channel. If I decide to do videos on it anymore, I'm thinking about changing the name. So that way people aren't searching for skateboard videos. I didn't think about that when I made the name.
The 540 is drawing a lot of like, you're not Tony Hawk.
I really think it's hurt the shit, because if you type in that, it's hard to find the channel, but you'll find a lot of skateboarding videos.
So you're saying the SEO mistakes were made is what you're saying?
Yes, it did not work as planned.
Beckett.
On that bombshell. Well, that's it. Links to the articles and a couple of things will be in the description. That'll be there. And then we'll be back with the regular stuff. So enjoy the rest of it. If you are coming down to the Expo, if you do see myself or the Burrell, maybe name, you never know. Feel free to say hello. Otherwise, we'll kind of play it by ear and then we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated on what's going on. I might plan to have one more video here kind of outlining what the plans are and everything. And that'll be coming up here on the next couple of days on the channel. Also at AMG, we will do a regular episode. That'll be dropping on the regular day. And it'll be outlining what's going to happen with AMG at the Expo, which is probably going to be selling mostly boxes. I think that's going to be boxes instead of singles. And I think that's going to be the main focus for this Expo.
If anyone sees name at the Expo, just walk up to him, do this, and say, that's from Eric. That's all you got to do. You see him at the Expo, you go, that's from Eric.
And there.
So what's your plan? So what's your plan if you literally go into Dunkin' Donuts to get your chocolate stick and literally the person at the counter is, that's from name?
I would fall down laughing. I'd buy a
right
there.
It all comes together. It all comes together.
Yep. So if you see name at Expo, walk right up to him, flip him off, and say, that's from Eric.
Wow. Wow. All love here. All love here.
Somebody needs to call Dunkin' Donuts now.
Yeah, I was going to say. And that concludes a 5% more mature BIC podcast episode. We thank you all for participating. Have yourself a good one. We'll catch you in the next one.